All right. So what should your business look like in 1, 2, and 3 months from now? Very important subject. Lots of uncertainty coming up for all of us. None of us know the exact answers to anything in the future, which is the norm, right? So we're going to try to look ahead, try to extrapolate from what we're seeing right now and learn from the experts. Again, everything I will talk about here, I'm more of a curator, most probably, than the creator of the content. I will try to mention where I got the information as much as I can. If I forget, please forgive me. Let's start with this quote by Tobias Lutke, the CEO of Shopify. He says, "The future we imagined for 2030 has been pulled forward to the present with everything going digital by default." Very true indeed. This is what we're seeing. Lots of the businesses, lots of the clients I talk to, lots of the readings I'm doing, people are saying things are moving very fast. Lots of the things we thought are going to take 5 years, 3 years from now to implement are happening. And we are forced to ensure they are happening. So that should make things interesting. Okay. Sorry about that. Full screen. Here we go. All right. So what will your business look like? It depends on what type of business model and thinking you are in right now. Businesses right now I classify into 3 types of companies. Where you will be in 1, 2, or 3 months will depend on which of these mentalities the organization is adopting. So there are transformed businesses, there are transformation businesses, and there are refusing businesses. Transformed businesses are businesses who are very comfortable in the digital world already. They are already benefiting from being digital. Maybe they did not have as much traffic or as much revenue as they did at this time, but they are very comfortable working digitally in the virtual world. These are called transformed businesses. Some businesses are aspiring transformation businesses. These are undergoing the shift towards a virtual and digitalized model, which means they're not there yet, but they are heading that way. They believe this is where they need to be, and they are moving in that direction. And finally, there is the refusing businesses. These are businesses who are not interested in going digital, and they do not believe they have to digitize at this time. They think there is no need. And we will talk about the characteristics to know where we are in these 3 types of businesses. Feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar, and I will keep an eye on the questions, bring them up as I get a chance. And most of the questions I will handle at the end, but I will take questions as we go. So, okay, moving on. Let's start with the first type of business. If you are a transformed business, what will your world look like in 1 month, 2 months, and 3 months from now? If you are already a transformed business, it means you're already digital. You have been working digital. Maybe your model has been digital from day one. So in the coming month, you will stay in the same model of business. You will see accelerated growth, a lot of accelerated growth. You will see that you need to move forward with your transformation plans. Probably the people I talk to who are in this area are already working on things they thought they will work on 2 years from now. So this is already happening. Probably in 1 month, this is where these companies will be. If you are a transformed business, in a couple of months, you will see more digitization, normalizing into the digital area. You will probably find that you can get into global markets that you thought were out of reach. Probably you will come up with more digital products that you will see your customers requiring. You will see very accelerated revenue growth. In 3 months, I expect these businesses to be at around 10x, 10 times the usual revenue. And I think for some organizations, it's going to be much more than 10x. This is already happening, as we said. This is for transformed businesses. First month, almost same as usual, but with accelerated growth. We are seeing ourselves push towards working in the future. 2 months from now, probably we will see us going into global markets, more digital products, accelerated growth. 3 months, there will be a new level of revenue becoming the norm, probably at around 10x. Now, how about businesses in transformation businesses? These are businesses that have been thinking about digitizing, believe in digitizing, but they are not there yet. They are working towards digitizing. In a month from now, they will probably have a clear roadmap of how they want to go about things in a year. If they did not have this already, they will probably work on something like this. They will have some sort of performance management and measurement to ensure that they are following that roadmap, because companies are taking the strategy execution much more seriously than before, because they are finding they don't have the time. They need to move fast. So transformation businesses will be putting a roadmap for their transformation this year. They will be having OKR. We use OKR, Objective Key Results. We believe it's the most effective, dynamic, fastest, practical way of measuring performance and ensuring strategy execution. But regardless of the type of performance measurement, that they use, OKR or any other type, this will become very important to ensure that we are not wasting time. In the second month, first signs of new revenue streams should be coming in. With agile transformation, it's very important that we do not wait into big black boxes. So waiting 3 months, 6 months is not an option. We should see results within 1 month, 2 months. Maybe the first month is preparation. Second month, you should start seeing signs of new revenue. They don't have to be huge, but signs of new revenue, promising signs. In month 3, things will be clearer and we will be more confident, and there will be more clarity into the new path of the company. However, so in 3 months, we will know that this is the true new path. This is where we need to be heading. However, there will be questions about how to charter this path. I call this the who, not the how. In which direction do we take the company now? Who or which technologies are going to help us transform? So these questions will come up, but there will be no question in 3 months that the transformation and digitalization is the way to go. So month 1 is the planning. Month 2, we should start seeing signs that we're heading in the right direction. Month 3, there will be clarity that we are on the right path. But how do we charter this path? What tools do we use to charter this path? Will be a question that will continue to be a question for the whole year. Then there is the refusing businesses. Call them refusing businesses, not because they do not talk about digital transformation. Probably many of these businesses, from what I saw during these past couple of months, so when you talk about going digital, they believe this is the way to go. They believe they are actually going digital. However, they believe that what they have is sufficient, no need to change anything. They believe, also another sign of these companies is that they believe that things will go back to where they were. They do not have to do anything really. They are fine where they are. And things are not picking up, not because things are changing, but because This is a tough time, and we're not expected to be doing well. This is a very dangerous notion. The most dangerous about it is that companies in this category, they're not even aware that they are in this category. This is very dangerous. How to tell companies in this area? These are companies, as I said, that believe there is nothing that needs to be done. They are down as far as sales, down as far as revenue, but they think they need to wait it out. No problem. Things will work out at the end. They are in shock at this time. And they don't believe they need to change. So let's look at what these companies will look like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months from now. 1 month from now, situation will be worse than now, not better, even though they are hoping it will be better. There will be lots of uncertainty, poor productivity, because we cannot be in the same physical location, lack of clarity into internal operation. CEOs, chiefs, executives will be puzzled and confused on, are people being productive? What are people doing? Is working from anywhere working for us? Probably they're taking care of business through phones and WhatsApp. Most of their work is still waiting for lockdown to ease and for the supply chain constraints to get better. Now, 2 months from now, for many, the cash crunch or signs of a cash crunch will show up. Unfortunately, many will go out of business, especially the ones who had very big expansion plans into the physical world, not into the digital world. It's really interesting. I remember a meeting with some of the consultants from the Exponential Organization Association, which we belong to. They were saying, they do not do consulting for brick and mortar based companies because they believe these companies, most of them are going out of business. It was a scary thought at the time, but who would have thought this is where we will end up 5-6 months later? Many of these companies also will end up reducing to smaller operations. I'm seeing there are unfortunately many companies who are facing this situation. 3 months from now, these companies will start seeing that digital businesses, smaller than them probably, are taking a bigger share of the market from their hands. They will end up refusing businesses with a smaller footprint in the market. Some will be out of business. They will have a reduced staff. They will be open to other companies acquiring them. Probably they will be acquired by new digital players who will probably be interested in revenue generating assets that they might have. So this is what's expected for refusing business. Things will get worse. They will not get better. These are signs of these businesses. I wonder what percentages of these businesses exist in reality. Forbes is already reporting that 7% of European industrial companies said they would suspend digital transformation initiatives in the next 90 days. Imagine. Now, 7% does not seem like a big percentage, but to me, it is a big percentage to be resisting what is clear. These are clearly refusing businesses. This is in Europe. I don't know what the numbers are in other parts of the world. Also, Forbes is reporting that 30% of companies, imagine, will reassess and eventually reduce projects. And 24% said they would keep only those projects with secure, consistent ROI. So companies are going into fear mode. They're trying to pull back on projects of improvements or growth. This is also not a good sign. This is a sign of refusing companies. Imagine 21% of companies planned no changes whatsoever. Again, a sign of refusing companies, not a good sign. We are in a new era of business, new world that requires new habits and new ways of thinking. The faster we recognize this, are willing to deal with it, the better we will be. There are, with everything shifting virtual, things are changing. Time zones, working hours, location are having a different meaning now. It's not as relevant as it used to be. So we're ready for a call or a meeting at almost any time. The working hours are getting blurry. It's very interesting how things are changing now. From personal experience, I'll tell you, I'm ending up now thinking of the types of people you expect to see physically are becoming clearly different than the type of people you expect to see virtually. And sometimes there are certain things that I still would like to have a physical contact to do, but there are definitely things now that I prefer to do digitally and virtually, even though previously I used to say I prefer to do these things face to face. For example, when I talk to CEOs to talk about the exponential blue ocean shift and preparing organizations for exponential blue ocean shift, I always started digitally, but always I had to follow up with a meeting, and usually the meeting outside my home base. So I would travel for that, and I always welcomed that. I always welcomed that travel. Chance to learn, chance to meet people. I love that. Today, I'm looking at a situation where the digital meeting is becoming more and more acceptable, more and more doable, and my customers are becoming more and more comfortable with it. I think it will become a point where we will be more comfortable with the digital meeting than the physical meeting. I think we will try to stay away from the physical meeting, not because we're worried about getting viruses or anything like that, but because we will find out that the digital is working for us, especially as technology improves. Lots of changes, lots of new habits, lots of new ways of thinking will be coming up. Again, with Ludke from Shopify, it won't be the biggest companies or the strongest brands that survive, but the ones most adaptable to change. And we are already seeing this in the market. Here are some examples from CEOs from around the world, what they are saying about how they are coping with what is going on worldwide. Ryan Gorman, CEO of Coldwell Banker, says, before coronavirus, I had a goal of being with between 500 and 1,000 of our people every week with his employees in different branches. 4 to 5 cities every week. I loved it. He loved it. And in the future, I can relate to this. In the future, I'll be able to leverage technology to be able to reach more people more efficiently without having to travel to as many cities every week. It's becoming more acceptable. Absolutely. This is what we are finding out. Let's see who else. There are a couple more examples we'll talk about. Now, the pandemic that we are seeing is causing a difference in the way we are looking at the business model innovation. We need business model innovation today, for sure. Every company needs that. My company needs it, your company needs it. It's a matter of realizing it and working on it. Mindset is key today. Mindset, we have a choice between the I am doomed, or whatever word you want to put, instead of doomed in there, or how am I going to reinvent this situation to ensure we come out on top. This is becoming more and more important. Resiliency is becoming more and more important. How do we do that? We need to start looking at our model. These are the 3Ds from Peter Diamandis. He has 6 Ds, but I want to talk today about 3 of the Ds that he talks about for digital transformation. He talks about dematerialization, demonetization, and democratization. All of us need to look at these 3Ds for our companies. When we talk about dematerialization, means turning the physical into virtual. When we talk about demonetization, it means what we used to pay money for, or what I used to charge my customer for. There's going to be a trend to move towards demonetizing, where it becomes cheap, free, or almost free. Like Netflix, for example, is demonetization. It's not free, but it's almost free. You know, they charge you the $9.99 per month or something like that. It's almost free. It's going to happen across industries. And democratization means a lot of the things that were available only to the elite or to special types of companies are becoming available to even at low, because it's demonetization, dematerialization, are available across geographies and available for companies that used not to have the privilege to get that kind of service. We're seeing lots of startups now asking for strategies that we used to see only bigger size companies ask for. And also performance measurement and management and consulting requests and coaching requests that we used to see with bigger companies, we are seeing now with smaller companies and with startups. So you need to see some of these in your organization more than you had before. Dematerialization, demonetization, democratization must be part of what you do in your organization. This is very important. What's next? What's coming next? We have to accept that things might not go back to the way they were. I cannot be 100% sure, but I would be really shocked if anything goes back exactly to the way it was. What else? Commercial real estate. A lot of companies have canceled or reduced their real estate contracts and are shifting towards allocating a small budget to improve the quality of the home office of employees. I'm not saying buying real estate is a bad idea. I'm not an investment expert. But maybe you need to reduce your physical footprint and increase your virtual footprint as far as real estate. I'll give you an example. With my company, we reduced the commercial, we're a small company, but we did reduce our commercial real estate in half to 50%. We grew actually 4 times in the size of real estate that we needed during 1 year, 4 times. Now we went back and we cut down to 50% of that. Not out of trying to cut costs, but out of the convenience and the high level of productivity that we are seeing from working virtual. With the tools that we are using, we're seeing higher productivity. I'm seeing higher productivity from myself, from my team. So I'm really questioning going back to the real world. I'm not closing my offices. I still have, as I said, 50% of my real estate commercial, it's still open. But until now, to be honest with you, nobody's going back. Many of my employees, I think about around 25% of my employees are really pushing to go back. They want to go back to the office, and I understand and I respect that and I relate to it. But I'm really hesitant to do that. I like the experience and the experiment that we're going through. I see lots of productivity, and I'm just not ready to go back. I'm thinking about using my office in a different way, using it maybe to entertain some of my clients who are not still interested or not ready yet for digital. When there are meetings that there has to be a physical meeting, whatever that meeting is, and this will be reduced over time. But other than that, we're going completely virtual space. And actually, I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, but there are some people out there that are hoping the situation will remain the same as far as staying digital, not as far as people getting hurt, of course. But this will become the new normal. What else? More preparation is now given to human threats such as pandemics with predictions of technological impact during such times. For example, virus detectors might emerge. Lots of things will emerge. One of the things that I'm watching closely, and I was listening to a podcast by Tony Robbins with a group of experts about this subject. Very interesting. They were talking about the antibodies test and how companies will be using the antibodies test. The antibodies, I'm not a doctor, but the antibodies are signs that you have been exposed to the COVID-19. And if you have, but you do not have it, maybe you had it before, somehow you got exposed to it. If you have the antibodies, most likely, I mean, some people are debating that, but most likely you will not be infected again. I know some people are debating that. But most likely you will not be getting the virus. Imagine what will happen if you use, if companies will start using this in business. Okay, I'm going to take, sorry, I actually stayed away from the questions. Oh my God. Okay, let me see. All right. So here is a, okay, sorry. Here's a question, very good question. I should pay attention to the questions. What are the 3Ds, the other 3Ds? There are 6Ds total. I will talk about one of them in a few seconds. It's called, first of all, digitization or digitalization. I really confuse both. I don't know which one is the right one. Digitalization. This is the first D. So we try to go digital. This is how you end up with exponential growth. And these are by a guy called, I'm not sure if it's Salim Saad or Peter Diamandis who came up with these. They are both from the exponential school. Digitization is step one. Deception is step two. And I will talk about that now. Step three is monetization. Step four is monetization. Let me see if I can get it on my Kindle here. I have. There is democratization, demonetization. Let me open it here. I have the book here. Let me find the 60s real quick. Okay, no luck with that. Let me open it here on the other computer, on the Chrome. The 6 Ds, if you Google it, the 6 Ds of disruption. There you go. So, okay, here we go. Digitization, deception, disruption, demonetization, dematerialization is the one I missed, and democratization. These are the 6 Ds of disruption. You can read about that. I will talk a little bit about deception right now. And now, so yeah, so I hope that answers your question. Now, the antibodies test, some companies are saying, for example, there's lots of talk about this. Some companies are saying, okay, well, we're going to bring the antibodies tests. There are lots of antibodies tests that are coming out. They might be the norm of giving your employees the antibody test. So the antibodies test can tell you which employees are immune or probably immune and which are not. So you might decide who end up facing the customer. Some companies might be even announcing that, you know what, everybody who is interacting with the customer is already have the antibodies test. I know it might be controversial, but you know, these things might emerge. Virus detectors, as we said, might emerge. Right now, we are still in the deceptive phase because of all the negative information that is coming out, not the positive information, because of the fear factor. They're playing on the, what they call it, the familiarity and dread. People worry. So we're not really careful about what, lots of technology is coming out related to this. Lots of people are trying to find solutions that help us in this situation. Very soon you will see more and more of this because we are still in the deception phase. Deception phase means after people go digital, you will not see them immediately. There is a period when you do not notice them, but then disruption comes. Let's see, Catherine Keating from BNY Mellon says, September 11th forever changed how we travel. And this, what we're going through right now, this is from a very recent article. I think it came out a couple of days ago. And this will forever change how we work. It already has. We find we are more united than ever by the clarity of our common purposes of supporting each other and our clients in this crisis, and that will continue. On this, I wanted to mention one more thing related to this. We are now in a time of collaboration, as related to what Catherine Keating is saying. We are now in a time of collaboration rather than competition. It's about collaborating towards a higher purpose. It's very important. We used to talk about this, but now it has more meaning. Collaboration towards common purpose, supporting each other. What you are is a supporting vehicle for your clients, and they are a supporting vehicle for you. This is what I had for today. We still have a couple more webinars coming up. Next week, we're going to go over what to expect from my employees, because it's very important to look. I mean, the experience of the employees now is amazing, the stories that are coming up. So we'll talk about that. We will also talk about after that, the week after that, about what are the best tools and techniques to digitize a business. If you are a transformation business, you want to move into digitization, how to do that. Stay in touch if you have any questions, if you need help, consultation, and anything I can help you with, feel free to contact me on LinkedIn, Case in Point, or my personal. Same thing with YouTube, same thing with the blog. If anybody has a question, please go ahead.